Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for Junaid and team for inviting me to share some thoughts, share my experiences, share some ideas with all of you today. But I was just mentioning before we started that it's really unfortunate that in the last 10, 12 days, we have lost two of my batchmates in the last 11 days. One is Mr. Vikram Srivastav, Gullu, who many of you may have known. He was in Delhi and Kanpur and in the business world. And when I was president of DSOBS, at that time there was the earthquake in Bhuj, in Gujarat, which was, I think 2001, I think it was. And Gullu turned around and said, look, every year I invite about 10, 12, 14 different artists to his factory area in Madhya Pradesh, and they spend a week there and do paintings. So I'd be happy to donate 50% of those paintings so we can sell them, collect the funds, and on behalf of DSOBS, send it to Gujarat. And he did that. That was very considerate of him, very thoughtful of him. So that's one loss, which is very severe and very unfortunate. The second is a person who was in the Navy, Mr. Vijay Rajan. He was also my batch. And though he was based in Bombay and Pune, we didn't meet too much. But such a small world. I did my college in Bombay. I was in Sydenham College. And with another uncle of mine, he arranged for us to visit a submarine. He was in the Navy, Vijay. So we went into a submarine and we looked at each other and said, look, haven't we met before? And suddenly we realized that we were in the same batch, same year of Doom School. Such a small world.
So I have a question I always like to ask Doscos, which is, what is the one learning behavior trait that you developed at school, which has stayed with you till today and has been sort of the reason for your success? Right? What are some of the things you picked up?
I think I will say it's again relationships. I think that's really what matters to me. And our case, as you said, we are a family business. So whether it's with family members or it's with our officers or whether with people outside, I think how do you keep your connect in a transparent, open way that they respect each other and you value each other. I think that's what matters. And that's how I've kept it with those school friends also. I've kept it in work also.
And has the community then come back to support you in difficult times? Have your friends been there personally, professionally?
I would say not too much on the work front, to be honest, because we're different areas of work. Though, I must be honest, I'll take that back to a degree because two of my batchmates have been in the government of India. Three of them were actually secretaries in the government of India. And I have gone to them for help occasionally when there's some issue with the government. They've been so open. And one is Sumit Bose, you might have heard of him. He was Secretary of Finance. Ashish Bahuguna, who was Secretary of Agriculture. And one more is now in Chandigarh. So they were always available. And I think that is the bonding and sort of openness which you develop over years that you value. And it's been really nice. It's been really...
It's so unfortunate that we don't produce as many IAS now. There's no IAS from my batch I can call. Yeah. I think 5 batches above me and 5 batches below me.
So my first of my responsibilities was actually a distillery where we make rectified spirit. And we did have a plan to make what they called IMFL, Indian Made Foreign Liquor, gin, brandy, whiskey, rum. So it was actually called Dorala Distillery. My uncle, when I went there first time, I said, what? He says it's DD. I said, what does DD stand for? He said, Doomsday. So that's what he sort of pushed it across. But that was my responsibility. And again, I'll give you another example there of how relationships matter. I got very open with the union leader. Thakur Chandrika Singh was the union leader in Dorala. And we used to have tea together a couple of times a month. And he was very positive, collaborative, helpful. Once in the distillery, a worker, he loosened a valve of the pipe where rectified spirit, which is 98% spirit, flows through, and he took it in a mug. He diluted water, he was drinking it. So I rang up Thakur Chandrika Singh. I said, Thakur Sahab, ye theek nahi hai. From a discipline point of view, from a way of working point of view, it's not setting the right example in the company. And I would like to take whatever legal action is as per the rules. Initiate that. And I'd request you to please be open to whatever is the outcome. He told me, he said, Ajay ji, aap 2 घंटे रुक जाइए. He called me up 2 hours later and said, आपने जो कहा ठीक है, ये हुआ था, आप inquiry शुरू कर दीजिए. And we took a decision within that 7-8 days or whatever, and he was sacked. So I'm saying this is where the trust comes in. That you're not trying to short circuit for any personal agenda. You're doing it for the. We had a lot of problem with the excise authorities also, IMFL. You had to handle that. So it was a great learning being there. Then in 1982, I came to Delhi in Chemical Works and Manoj was there.
Okay, got it.
So Manoj was also in the HR section in DCM Chemical Works in Delhi when I came in there. So we were together for 4-5 years.
Got it.
And then I got after that transfer, and there we had a variety of businesses of caustic soda, power plant, Rath Vanaspati you may have heard of in the old days, it was there, and sulfuric acid, alum, SSP, fertilizers and all that. Then in 87, I was transferred to our textile business. And that gave the experience again of running a very different environment of the textile business. So in a way, I feel I was blessed that from 76 to 80, 14 years, I went through a variety of businesses, which gave me the experience of two things. One, different businesses. Secondly, working with different people. I think at the end of the day, it is relationships and it's your trust of people that matter. And that's what I learned a lot.
And so in 1990, you were mid-30s, which is when the very famous split happened. And the family was divided into 4 parts, right? And from whatever I could research, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that you got the short end of the stick, right? You got what was at that time called the struggling businesses. And you were also the youngest, I believe, in the 4, right? And clearly the underdog. And if you fast forward to today, you can see where all the 4 factions are, right? And we'll come to that later, but tell me, how was that split like? You were an underdog. Was that almost a benefit to being an underdog?
Well, I'll be honest, I think there's a God above. We generally believe that. That's really important in terms of support. But yes, we suddenly became a restructured group. And my father was based in Calcutta, whereas all the others were in Delhi. And my father told me and my younger brother, Vikram, he told us saying that I'm not getting involved in the business. I'm there to support you. You all do what you think appropriate and how you want to manage it. So that set us thinking straight away. One of my uncles, aap jiski baat kar rahe the, Mr. Arun Bharatram, he was very instrumental in the restructuring and we becoming independent. So first we asked him to come onto our board of directors. But I think one advantage we had was, you may have heard of a person called Mr. Mantosh Sondhi. Mr. Mantosh Sondhi was a government servant, but he was also running businesses and a very old relationship. He was on the board of erstwhile DCM. So we requested Mr. Mantosh Sondhi to become our chairman. So I think the big advantage we had was have a non-family member as a chairman. He brings in a different value system of how to manage. Mantosh, I still remember right at the beginning, said, Ki, Ajay, if it's okay with you, there's a chartered accountant in Bombay called Mr. Choksi. He's very good. He's on the board with me on other companies. If it's okay with you, can we get him onto our board and make him the chairman of the audit committee? We said, sure. I think Mantoshi, Mr. Choksi and others set the examples and the precedent of how to manage a board. So it was not a family thing where, a family member says something and it has to happen.
There was no emotion.
There was a lot of questioning. Mantoshji, Mr. Choksi, Arun Bhartamji also, a lot of others. And I think that was a great experience. We set the system of how we want to run the business, how the accountability comes in, how the responsibilities come in, how the audit committee rules, regulations, what is their role. And today, actually speaking, I tell the audit committee chairman, frankly speaking, now, Mantoshji's son, Vipin Sondhi, some of you may be knowing, Vipin is on our board, and Vipin is chairman of our audit committee, and I've told Vipin and others, I said, you're the chairman of the audit committee, you please be as tough as you like. Because if you're tough and the company does well, we as the largest shareholders are the biggest beneficiaries. So please be as tough as you like, and please probe and detail whatever you want. Please do that. So I think the precedence of how to manage not as a family member, but as a professional. Made a lot of difference right at the beginning. And that was really good.
But
And if you're talking about that, when you talk about the companies which were,
allocated.
yeah, we got in the textile business, Swatanta Bharat Mills, which was on Nazarkar Road. It had 7,000 workers, 13 unions, and they were losing 20 crores per year from 1980 to 1990. And suddenly we got into the hot seat of that. I had the advantage again from 87 being in textiles, so I was sitting there, so I knew it a little bit. So that's when we started working with the unions. And my brother and I, we used to have meetings with all union leaders at least twice a month to talk to them what's happening because we're losing so much money. We just couldn't get that going. We told them we have to restructure the whole thing. So then with that concurrence, with the government concurrence, we moved to stop the entire weaving activity of the company. We had multiple VRS schemes which we brought about. An example to share, which is a learning for us even now, which we, Grindless Bank was the banker, and they had lent money to Swatanta Bharat Mills. And after the restructuring, they came to us and said, "You please pay back the money." We said, "Look, we don't have the money. We have the choice of either going to court or we'll work out a plan of how we want to restructure the business, the factory, get it back on track, and you're welcome to come every quarter to see how the plan is moving. And in due course of time, we'll pay back." They did that. And we were blessed a year and a half later, they came to us and said, "If you want money for your other businesses, we're happy to give it to you." So that is where that trust comes in, because of transparency, because of working. And the government was also very supportive. 1991, Dr. Manmohan Singh came in where there was a major change in the entire business environment. That was lucky. And by God's grace, we moved. Right? You rightly said, when you mentioned our EBITDA at 1991 was 6 crores. Maximum we had 3 years ago, because we had commodity businesses. Maximum we had 3 years ago was about 1,800 crores. So it's jumped over a period of time, moves up and down, but God's grace moved well.
I'm glad you talk in terms of EBITDA. We talk in terms of revenue and gross margin.
Bottom line is important.
Bottom line
is important.
Dosco families are family businesses of some sort. And from whatever conversations I've had with my batchmates, my juniors, my sister's married to a Dosco as well, even in their family, there is always some discord. Brothers, jealous of each other, this, that, so many issues. And for some reason, I see that a lot more in Dosco families and other families. I don't know why. Something about being type A. So what does it take to grow harmoniously? And what can we as younger Doscos do today so that we don't see the kind of ugly splits that we see in some of the families? And it's in very public, especially in Dosco families. More than anything else, it's front page.
When 1990, when the restructuring happened, my second brother, Vikram, and I got into the hot seat. I as MD and he as joint MD. And I think about 4-5 years later, my third brother got into the hot seat. So then 3 brothers came into the thing. So it happened about 94, 95, because initially we spent a lot of time just trying to get our company in order. There was so much stress and tension and all that sort of stuff I was telling you about. It's very, very difficult. So when that happened, then we once had a retreat with the entire senior team. I mean, I'm a firm believer that teamwork is critical. That's very much in our culture, in our philosophy. So we had a retreat with a behavioral scientist in Agra, where we took about 11 or 12 of our ED, COO, senior level people, and we spent 4 days together, talking and sharing. And after that, we realized that's important for us brothers also to have a forum. And I would say the one word which comes to me, which is most crucial for family connect, is communication. I keep telling my brothers also, communication, communication, communication. That is key. I've gone to the extent I've told them, and we talk very openly. So with this behavioral scientist, I think maybe we are the only family at least I know of, including because of YPO and all that involvement also, where in the last 25 years, three of us brothers have been to over 20 retreats with this behavioral scientist. And we go out into a hotel. We are having one actually from the 5th of May. We're going to Taj Hotel. And we're going to stay there for 3 nights. And this gentleman is the one who questions us on everything. I'll give you a couple of examples of questions he asked us, which we had to reply and share. Communication, I'm coming to that. He said, I want you to list out 2 things about each other you like and 2 things you don't like. And please share that, which we did.
Sorry, it's just 3 of you and the
Just 3 of us.
and the guy. Yeah.
And the faculty.
Yeah.
So just 3 of us. Another list he then says, 2 of you go out and describe your third brother. So both of us, I mean, each of us went by rotation, went and made a list of 50 things about each other and share it. So in these, I told my brothers also, I said, look, we are all human. I will say something you don't like, you will say something I don't like. But if the intention is not wrong, it's okay. If there's any doubt on the intention, then it requires a much more in-depth study and analysis to figure out what to do, what not to do. So I think communication is something which is most important for families. Secondly, also at a family level, a family office level, we had a full agreement right in 91, 92, 93. What is going to be the monthly expenditure of each family? We didn't have any home at that time. So what is the sort of size of home each one can buy? How much will you get every month as your monthly requirements, which is coming from the common family fund? What are our rules for traveling? What are the rules for education, kids' education? We sort of articulated all that. Cars. Absolutely. So there was a full transparency of what it was done. So there's no sort of, irritation in the mind. Okay, he's done this and I haven't done it, or they've done that extra. So that is the sort of thing we tried to move. Then it was in 2010-11, we got into again with another consultant to make a family constitution. And we did that. And this we made including with my mother. So she and all of us, we went to Goa and spent 3 days over there. And this gentleman helped us make a family constitution, which we've shared and we keep reading. Though now, because of a younger generation coming in, things have changed. Their thinking is very different from what ours was at that time. So we are in the discussion now to remake or revisit the family constitution, to get their thoughts and ideas also of how we want to look at the next 25 years of the family. How do we run that? So our objective is, again, transparency, communication, trust. That's the most important. If anyone has a particular issue, we are always there. And frankly, if I may say so myself, the eldest in this group has to give the most.